Have you ever been to a city that just stinks? I have. Actually, more than a few. One isn't too far away from where I am right now. It's called Newberg, Oregon. They used to be horrible, but they've gotten better. Newberg had a paper mill and a sewage treatment plant right next to each other. If the wind shifted, oh man, it was rough. We were looking for some real estate once. We drove right into Newberg and got a whiff, and my wife just said, nope, turn around. I agreed with her. I turned around. There are a lot of cities in the United States that stink, and that's what we're looking at today. Let's take a look. Number 10, Texarkana. Texarkana is a city that straddles the border of Arkansas and Texas. Technically, it is two different cities, but nobody really looks at it that way. It's just one city, and it sits about 180 miles east of Dallas, Texas. They have a population of about 36 hero residents on the Texas side and about 29 hero on the Arkansas side. So it's got a good amount of people, and all of them suffer through foul-smelling air every single day. It's like some sort of Greek sauna with no air circulation. Texarkana is a city of many smells. First of all, you got paper mills. Paper mills stink, as you'll learn as we go through this list. On top of it, it's in that Louisiana, Arkansas, East Texas area, and that just smells like swamp most of the time. I've been to Texarkana a few times, and even before I ever thought about doing this, I remember thinking to myself, this place kinda stinks. One man who reviewed Texarkana said it smells like feet, pickles, dumpsters, manure, and cat food, all at the same time. Not really a glowing endorsement of Texarkana. If you want to live in this stink, the typical home goes for about $189,000. Number 9, Fresno, California. Fresno, California is in the middle of freaking California, way away from the beach.
Right in the middle of the farmland.
And if you don't know, farms stink. Now, this isn't all the time, but the few times I've been to Fresno, there's like no wind.
So the air is stagnant.
They've got their Hyperion plants or sewage treatment plants. Farmland during the summer is hot as hell, so it just stinks. One man said about living in Fresno, there are 2 reasons. Most people don't become farmers.
It's hard and it stinks.
Fertilizer stinks, the animals stink, and you stink 10 minutes into your workday. Fresno is surrounded by farms. It has a population of about 542 rural residents, with the entire metro area having just over 1 million. And if you want to add to
that population and smell,
bad air all the time, the average home in Fresno goes for about $377,000. So if you're looking for a city that stinks, Newberg, Oregon, Texarkana, and Fresno, California might just be the places for you. Just beware of the foul smells that may engulf you every single day. Cedar Rapids, Iowa is a city surrounded by farmland, much like Fresno, but with less wind. However, it has a distinctive smell due to its Quaker Oats factory, one of many grain processing plants in the state. Residents describe the smell as a combination of burnt corn, overcooked oatmeal, and rotten garbage, all due to the farmland and processing plants. The city has a population of about 137, with the entire metro area having around 276,000 residents. If you're interested in buying a home here and enjoying the unique aroma, it'll cost you about $189,000. On the other hand, Gilroy, California is known as the garlic capital of the world and has a very pungent smell due to the local spices and vegetable factories, along with Christopher Ranch. Every year they host the Gilroy Garlic Festival, a major event in the area. Although the smell can be overpowering, the festival draws many visitors. It's unfortunate that a mass shooting occurred at the Garlic Festival a few years back, but the city is still famous for its garlic. One man's review hilariously stated that you'll never find a vampire in Gilroy, referencing vampires' reputed aversion to garlic. If you're willing to live with the stench of garlic, a home in Gilroy will cost you around $1.1 million. Houston, Texas. Yep, Houston definitely stinks, and it stinks pretty bad. You see, Houston is nothing like the image people usually have of Texas, dry, dusty, and filled with scrubland. No, Houston is a swamp. And let me tell you, swamps are not pleasant. They're horrible. And in and around Houston, it's very swampy. But if the swamp smell alone doesn't get you, just wait till the wind shifts. Houston is home to numerous refineries and chemical plants. And when the wind blows in the wrong direction, well, it's an all-new assault on the senses. I experienced it firsthand. When I visited Houston last January, I was going on a cruise out of Galveston, but stayed a night in Houston. And let me tell you, it smelt like a swamp the entire time. And mind you, it was January, not even summer. As you drive to Galveston, you can't escape the smell of all those refineries. It's just nasty. As one person put it, nobody has ever moved to Houston for the aroma. It's like someone's tarring a roof in your backyard. Houston is a bustling city with a population of over 2 million residents, and the entire metro area is home to about 7 million people. If you're brave enough to move here and endure the constant smell of chemical plants and swamps, you can buy a house for around $269. So, no, that's the average now. Let's talk about another stinky place, Jackson, Mississippi. Whenever we talk about something negative, when it comes to states, you can always count on Mississippi to show up. They don't want to miss out on the conversation about suckage. Jackson, the state capital of Mississippi, is by far the worst capital we have, and it's no surprise that it stinks. Just like Houston, the entire state of Mississippi is like a swamp. So you can imagine the scent that fills the air. And if that's not enough,
They have all sorts of environmental
issues going on there. During heavy rains, their drainage systems overflow, causing hundreds of millions of gallons of raw sewage to spill into the Pearl River each year. In 2020, a record high of 520.
million gallons of sewage spilled into the river.
That's a lot of swamp and sewage combined. As one resident of Jackson, Mississippi said,
It seems like more.
and more. Residents are showering less frequently every single year, especially the people that go to Dollar Tree.
That says a lot about
The state of things there. Jackson, Mississippi, has only around 150,000 residents, with the entire metro area having just under 600,000 people.
But here's a silver lining.
To the mess in
Jackson, the average.
home goes for about 61,000. Yes, you read that right. You could work part-time at McDonald's or the Dollar Tree and still afford a 30-year mortgage in Jackson, Mississippi. But hey, as they say, you get what you paid for. So if you're looking for a place that stinks, both literally and figuratively, Houston, Texas, and Jackson, Mississippi might be just the destinations for you. But if you prefer fresh air and pleasant smells, you might want to consider other options. Los Angeles, California, the city that is no stranger to the overpowering smell that lingers in the air. If you've ever been to Southern California, especially downtown Los Angeles, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The air is filled with car exhaust, garbage, and the unfortunate reality of homeless individuals living on the streets. It's not exactly a pleasant scent, to say the least. In fact, the garbage situation in downtown Los Angeles got so bad in the 80s that some suburbs decided to take matters into their own hands and installed a perfume-like system on their garbage trucks. Yes, you heard that right. A literal air freshener for the trash. So when the garbage went in, it would get a nice spritz of freshness. It's no wonder that when a garbage truck drove by, people would go from thinking, oh, garbage truck, let's get away from this, to wait, is that a pina colada I smell? But fear not, if you're living in areas like Santa Monica, the ocean breeze does a pretty good job of blowing away the stench. However, once you venture into downtown or South Central, there's simply no escaping the overwhelming smell. I used to have to go downtown for work, and let me tell you, the smell of urine was all too common in certain areas. It was truly unbearable. The good news is that if you want to get away from the stink, places like Redondo, Hermosa, Santa Monica, Malibu, and Pacific Palisades offer a pleasant change of scent, resembling that of sunblock. And did you know that the city of Los Angeles has just under 4 million residents? That's a lot of noses experiencing the same smells. Now let's talk about the housing situation. If you're considering living in Los Angeles, the average home value is a whopping $974,000. And while you may think that's high, keep in mind that Los Angeles has a lot of rundown neighborhoods that bring down the average. On the other hand, places like Gilroy, are generally more expensive, but for good reason. The homes are newer, with most built from 1995 onwards. In Los Angeles, you'll find people living in apartment buildings from the 1950s and even homes built before cars were common. It's not the most pleasant picture to paint, but it's a testament to the durability and resilience of the homes built in the 20th century. So, while the smells in downtown Los Angeles may be less than ideal, the city still has its charm and allure for those willing to embrace its unique characteristics. Welcome to Dallas, Texas, known as Big D. This city has its own unique smell, not as swampy as Houston, but definitely noticeable. The biggest complaint among most people here is the overwhelming scent of car exhaust and dust. It seems like that's what you're smelling in Big D. But that's not all. Another complaint that people have is the excessive use of cologne and perfume by some Dallas residents. Yes, something that's supposed to smell wonderful is actually driving a lot of people crazy. I remember when I used to work at Netflix, we had a lady who would drench herself in perfume every day. It was so overpowering and unbearable that we had to kindly ask her to tone it down. It felt like she had bathed in perfume that morning, leaving a trail of aroma. Wherever she went, perfume can really be a nightmare for some people. And it's a common complaint in Dallas along with the dust and exhaust. Thankfully, Dallas has come a long way. It's not like the old days, when the entire city smelled like cow turd and oil. With a population of about 3 million residents and a metro area of 6 million, Dallas has grown into a vibrant and diverse city. Now, if you're thinking of making Dallas your home, be prepared. The typical home here has an average value of around $316,000. But keep in mind, that's just the average. There are plenty of homes in Dallas that are far more expensive. I always get people telling me, no way. Dude, there's a house across the street from me going for twice that. Well, that may be true, but remember, I'm talking about the average value here. Give a guy a break. So if you're ready for some Texan charm, a touch of that Dallas smell, and an average-priced home, come on down to Big D. You're bound to find something that suits your taste, whether you're into the cologne and perfume or not. Dallas, Texas, where the cow turd and oil smells of the past have given way to a thriving and bustling city.
Can't wait to welcome you.
San Francisco, known for its breathtaking views and eclectic culture, has recently made a rather unpleasant list. The list of cities with a smelly reputation. And it's not just any odor, but the pungent aroma of, well, let's just say, people dropping deuces on the sidewalk. Yes, you read that right. The city sits right on Fisherman's Wharf, a buzzing tourist destination that, unfortunately, doesn't always smell as pleasant as the fresh catch of the day. But that's not the only whiff you'll encounter in San Francisco. As you venture into the Tenderloin district, you'll find it has nothing to do with a juicy piece of meat. Instead, it's become a haven for the homeless population. Now, let's be understanding here. Homeless individuals have their own needs, and when nature calls, they do what they must. Unfortunately, this often means using the sidewalks as their personal restrooms. It's an issue that has plagued the city for years. An older man shared his thoughts on the matter, acknowledging that yes, the homeless people do emit a particular smell, but he recalls a time when the scent was even worse during the days of the hippie movement in the 1960s. There were countless complaints about the homeless and the scent that seemed to linger like a fog over the city. The stench isn't the only olfactory concern in San Francisco. Perfume and cologne have also been a subject of contention. One person even expressed gratitude for the office building ban on these fragrances, recalling their time at Netflix and the overwhelming scent of a certain woman with a penchant for youthful attire. Gossipy co-workers dubbed her Hard Mileage Barbie, a rather unflattering nickname. Despite these unpleasant odors, San Francisco still manages to attract residents, albeit at a slightly declining rate. The city currently boasts around 8,800 residents, a surprising decrease of 4% since 2020, the largest drop the city has ever experienced. In contrast, the 1980s saw a modest 5% decline over the course of a decade. It seems that the stench and sidewalk activities may have played a role in these numbers. But here's the mind-boggling part. Despite the sanitary concerns and people packing up their bags, the average home value in San Francisco remains a staggering $1.2 million. You'd think that a city with such issues would see a dramatic drop in prices, but over the past year, they've only decreased by 2%. It's a market anomaly that defies expectations. So if you're considering a move to one of these aromatic cities, fear not. We've got you covered, with a link for home and money in the description below. They can connect you with a top-notch real estate agent anywhere in the country. Now, let's move on to the much-anticipated #1 city on our list. The suspense is killing us, and we're excited to share the lowdown on the smelliest city of them all. All right, folks, let's talk about the charming city of New Orleans. I mean, kudos to you, New Orleans, because you have a unique scent that's impossible to ignore. And there is a whole bunch of reasons for this aromatic experience, starting with the fact that the city is built on swampland. Yeah, you heard me right. It's a humid paradise, surrounded by water, and that creates a distinctive odor. But wait, there's more. People here really like to indulge in their libations, which can lead to some, shall we say, fragrant encounters. You know, some folks just can't resist using the sidewalk as their own personal restroom, especially in the lively French Quarter. So yeah, you might want to watch your step there. Now let's not forget the mighty Mississippi River. It flows right through New Orleans. And trust me, it doesn't exactly emit a pleasant aroma. And it's not like it's flowing through just one area. No, sir. It winds its way all through the city, making sure that its unique scent is spread far and wide. But hey, that's just the charm of this place, right? And if you thought that was all, think again. New Orleans is also surrounded by lakes, creeks, ponds, and all sorts of water bodies. And let me tell you, all that water just adds to the overall fragrance. So yeah, let's just say that this city has a scent that's hard to ignore. Now, I haven't been to New Orleans in a while, but the last time I was there was about a year ago in February. And let me tell you, even in the relatively cold weather, the smell was still pretty potent. But despite the aroma, I absolutely love this city. It's vibrant, it's exciting, and it's a whole lot of fun. However, I do have a suggestion to make this place even more enjoyable. What if they hung giant air fresheners on every building? It might just do the trick, don't you think? Imagine strolling through the streets of New Orleans, surrounded by the scents of ocean breeze or freshly baked cookies. That would be quite the experience. Now, let's talk numbers. New Orleans has a population of around 385,000 residents, and the whole metropolitan area has about 2 million people. So, it's not exactly a small town. And if you're considering making New Orleans your home, well, the average price for a home here is around $247,000. Not bad, right? Just gotta be ready to embrace the unique aroma. So there you have it, folks. That's today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and picked up some interesting information about the vibrant city of New Orleans. Now go out there, have a fantastic day, and remember, let's be kind to one another.